Hallo, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdeed, ji ayanu, goedemorgen.
Bakheragele, ni hao, chuleshumme, washwale, ohio gonzaimes, guten morgen, hola, boyor privyet, kaifahal, hale shama chatore, ahlan wasalan marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabi up, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning alongside the very fabulous, the very fantastic, the very amazing, the very superb Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you today?
I am great. Thank you so much for using these words for me, ladies and gentlemen. On my left-hand side, on your right-hand side, well, I've been joined by someone who happens to be super energetic every other morning. His energy is contagious, and he basically, he basically drives our show. This is Shahzad Khan.
Oh, thank you very much for using such kind words, ladies and gentlemen. For the last 5 years, nobody has actually used the same kind of words for me, but I think that I feel privileged. Thank you very much, Shiza, for using the same kind of words. And I think that this is a very fair note to get started with the show.
It's equality.
Because of, equality, but then at the same time, I was talking about something else.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, but equality is one of them. So, ladies and gentlemen, every now and then in life, you get to see people. So, and you get to see people who are actually from different walks of life. So, there are people who will actually compliment you. There are people who might not even say anything, or there are people who might say a few bad things about you. But over here on the show particularly, and within our own team, what we've realized is that, that there's there are special powers in compliments. So whenever you compliment a team member, whenever you compliment a friend, whenever you compliment a family member, they feel great about themselves. And feeling great about yourself is one thing which we want to make sure that everybody out there is doing so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, compliments are everything. They can make or break your day, right? And speaking of feeling great, well, I really hope all of you are, because of the changing weather. It's not hot anymore. I haven't been putting my fan on for more than 3 weeks now, which is great.
And I am having an argument every other day with my wife to turn the fan off. And then she's like, no, I'm not going to turn it off. And I'm like, it's cold, honey.
No, but it's really hard to even imagine living with someone who cannot have the same fan needs as you. But anyway, all right. So ladies and gentlemen, Jummah Mubarak. Please remember me and my entire team in your prayers today, because we need it as much as anyone else in the world does.
Exactly. Well, that's good. And, speaking of the changing weather, ladies and gentlemen, since it's going to be winters, so through and through summers, we've actually been saying that, we really have to save water, because by 2025, the water will actually run out for Pakistan.
It's true.
Yeah. So other than for Pakistan, I think that I actually want to emphasize on people who are actually living with you at your place. Because a lot of times when it's winters, everybody wants to take a shower with some hot, steamy water and feel great.
It's the best.
But what happens is that, I kind of myself, I'm sorry, I'm guilty of it. I take a little longer. Probably if it's my off day, I'll, just shower.
Because it's so therapeutic.
There, and it is literally therapeutic as well. And you can call it Hydra bath or anything else. But then, please make sure to be considerate about all of those other people, because, they can fall sick. And if you're not going to leave behind any warm water for them, that'll be unfair. So, use it to as much as you need it, just that.
Don't go overboard.
Do not go overboard, and do not use your cell phones in the washroom because of the fact that it takes an hour or 2 hours for you to stay in the washroom. Right. Please don't do that.
You're absolutely right. And I can actually relate to that, because Shahzad, I live in a hostel, you know that. And whenever it's my turn to consume hot water, it's never there. I mean, imagine I always have to deal with ice cold water, which is so bad. I wake up early in the morning. So if any one of my hostelites is watching this show right now, please be careful with water consumption.
Okay, I think that, in your situation, okay, I'm sorry, and I do not really want to offend anybody.
Okay.
But this is, probably it's a common myth, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I've been hearing. And this is what I kind of accuse my sisters of as well. So there's no offense, it's a joke. And they say that women does not really take shower every other day, so they actually take a shower after 5 days, 10 days.
It's for the hair.
It's for the hair, okay.
Yeah, I mean, body wash is something else, but hair wash is something else.
Yeah, okay, that's fine, but it was on a lighter note. But ladies and gentlemen, other than that, just because of this one particular myth, I think I'm actually going to let you know what we are talking about. Today, ladies and gentlemen, happens to be a very important day.
Absolutely important.
Yes, and speaking about that, today, ladies and gentlemen, happens to be United Nations International Day for Girl Child. And ladies and gentlemen, if we go back in time, back in 1995, it was the fourth conference which was held. And there was the resolution was adopted for the fundamental rights of women. And since then, I don't believe that, that the women of today's generation were even born back then, but to to know that, that there were people who were actually working for this cause back in those days as well. It makes me very happy as well. And
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, other than talking globally, I think that we want to emphasize and focus on the condition Pakistan is actually providing for women
Right.
to survive in. And because when we speak about it, there are millions of kids who are actually out there. They're not going to schools. Would you want to elaborate upon
Right,
figures as
sure.
well?
And Shazad, for this year, Girl Child Day, the theme is Girl Force, Unscripted and Unstoppable. And like Shazad already mentioned, we're not going to stick to the scripts over here. We're not going to talk globally because this particular theme is so relevant to Pakistan and Pakistani society in so many different dimensions as well. That is what we will be sticking to. But before the show, I was asking Shazad on how to interpret this theme, and he actually explained it really beautifully. I know I'm catching you off guard, but please do it.
Yeah. Okay, so when we, ladies and gentlemen, you usually over here in Pakistan, whenever somebody's got a daughter, whenever they're getting married and they have a wife or a mother, what I've witnessed in my life, it can be very different from others as well, that men generally tend to script their lives.
Yeah.
This is how it is that, okay, so you're actually going to go to this school, you're going to opt for medicine, you're going to go to the medical school and whatnot. So this is what they call script. And when we say unstoppable, unscripted, ladies and gentlemen, women from Pakistan who are actually hailing from Pakistan have done a lot for Pakistan and the people all over the globe as well,
Yes.
actually highlighting issues within our own country as well,
Right.
and issues which are very relevant to other countries. And
Absolutely.
we'll definitely speak about all of those women. We're actually going to speak about all of the issues. But when we say unstoppable, unscripted, it means that every woman, every girl child has got the right to do whatever they want to do in life as far as they're not hurting themselves.
Yeah, not right, also potential.
Yeah, and on this point, we actually have a package for you. Please
Yeah.
go ahead, take a look at it. And when you guys will come back, we'll introduce our guest to you and we'll
Who
have
have
a
been
very
waiting for it.
healthy conversation. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Since 2012, 11th October has been marked as the International Day of the Girl Child. The day aims to highlight and address the needs and challenges faced by girls. As a result of 4th World Conference on Women in Beijing nearly 25 years ago, more girls today are attending and completing school, fewer are becoming mothers while still children, and more are gaining the skills they need to excel in the future. This year, the theme of International Day of the Girl Child is Girl Force, Unscripted and Unstoppable. Inequalities such as access to education, nutrition, legal rights, medical care, and protection from discrimination, violence against women, and forced child marriages have been dealt with in a more effective manner than ever before. The celebration of the day also reflects the successful emergence of girls and young women as a distinct cohort in development policy, programming, campaigning, and research. In these nearly 25 years, more girls have moved from dreaming to achieving. Girls are breaking boundaries and barriers posed by stereotypes and exclusion. As entrepreneurs, innovators, and initiators of global movements, girls are creating a world that is relevant for them and future generations.
Well, this was amazing to just start our day with. Of course, I love this energy. And Shazad, speaking of what is happening with girls around the world, I am going to give out some staggering and sad stats about something, if
Okay,
you're
go
ready
ahead.
for it.
Yeah, we need to know.
Well, I mean, 12 million girls under 18, under the age of 18, are forced into child marriages all over the world annually. This is the rough estimate, 12 million. It's just so sad. And Pakistan, of course, is one of those countries where this happens openly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and moving on.
And we have a larger vulnerable group over here.
Right, also, and 130 million girls all across the world are out of school. I mean, imagine being in the age where you deserve to go to school, deserve to have, your class fellows and whatnot, learning all those things that you need to survive in this world, but you're not for so many different reasons. And those are the reasons we're going to discuss today as well, with reference to Pakistan. And for that very purpose, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by some very amazing people, which I'm pretty sure are going to contribute to this conversation very well.
Ladies and gentlemen, so, with us today, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by this amazing lady because she's actually made sure that, people who do not really have enough to eat are actually going to schools as well. It's her initiative. One of the schools is in Rawalpindi. The other one is in Lahore, and she's doing it for all of those kids out there, irrespective of the gender. But it's for everybody out there, ladies and gentlemen. She's none other than Miss Amna Umar. She's an educationist herself. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm good. Thank you.
Assalam,
Thank you.
and thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have
Thanks to you. Thanks to you for having me here.
Thank you very much. And alongside Miss Amna, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually been joined by somebody who's a social analyst himself. He's a researcher. He's none other than Mr. Abid Hussain. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Assalam, sir. I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much for joining us. Sange khairam barobar.
Alhamdulillah.
Dode ukhre ubauske.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cheske.
Yes.
Well, that's great.
After
But
this
to get my conversation started, I'm very sorry that for everything we have said in our introduction is going to be very different.
Yeah.
So starting with Pakistan, there's one most common problem is giving birth to a girl child.
Yeah.
And I think that I want to get started with that. That every now and then, ladies and gentlemen, I am a father of 2 daughters, alhamdulillah, and I'm very proud of that. And may Allah give health to everybody's kids, irrespective of the gender.
Yeah.
But what I've witnessed, even when my girls were born, when my daughters were born, people actually used to call me, congratulate me, and say, you know, you do not have to be worried, you know, Allah is going to give you a baby boy next time. And then the first reaction I had, I actually got very angry, and I was angry because of the fact that I was very happy with whatever I have. So this is where I want to start from. We need to educate a lot of people that women are not different from men.
Yeah. All right, I'll agree with you here, Shazad, because mainly the developing countries, if we talk about India and Pakistan, they are formally based on the culture. We follow the culture. And when somebody tries to change a culture, it becomes a social change. That's how we are going to change for the women. I remember in 2014, the government announced a policy for the parity inequality for women. But we don't have anything for that because our culture do not allow women to come forward, and we have to change it. That's how we will again change. Like Shazad said, on the born of like some daughter is born, and people are like, oh, you'll be blessed with a baby boy. This is the culture. We have to change it, and somebody who would change it become the figures. Just like we have in tech, if we talk about the Pakistani girls, we have Arfa Kareem. You probably have remembered that she did wonders because she was allowed.
Youngest
She was
Microsoft certified
allowed to
girl,
do that. The first thing is allowing a girl to do something. That's how we bring a change.
Yes. Thank you
Right,
very much for saying
absolutely.
that.
And you know, this is actually attitudes, the mindset that we're
Yeah.
talking about, Shazad. You know, we happen to be, mashallah, 4 sisters.
Alhamdulillah.
And similar story happened with my parents every time my mother would birth a girl child.
Yeah.
Of course, we do have a brother, but that was just a one-time thing, and everyone was
Yes,
celebrating it, and
celebrating
there
it,
were
yeah.
parties and whatnot. And then even people from my own paternal family
Yeah.
would come up to my mom and be like, "Dobara se,"
Yes,
you know
I
what I
know
mean?
exactly.
To which my father would actually be the guard and, you know, stand in front of, listen, this is my blessing. Allah blessed me. What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
Now, sir, coming to you, this mindset, of course. Now, the people we are reaching out to, I hate to admit this, but they are the privileged ones. If you understand our medium, if you understand our show, you are the privileged ones. We probably don't need to target you. But the masses, they still have the same mindset.
The mindset can be changed with literacy rate.
Right.
Only the best solution for changing any minds, literacy rate. Apart from that, we have some problems in Pakistan, in developing countries like Pakistan. Of them, poverty is on mainstream.
Of course.
And later on, we can include literacy rate. There are a number of problems being faced by our women, our girls, our adolescents. These are common. Of them, some of like child marriage and forced marriages, and of them some of bullying, harassment.
Right.
These are some numerous problems being faced by our Pakistani women and girls especially. So the mindset can be changed with literacy rate. If we can
Okay.
improve the literacy rate of our people, so automatically our mindset will change.
Okay, so you're saying the base or the foundation of all these major problems that we're looking at is literacy in
Yes,
Pakistan, right?
of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now over here, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Amna actually made a very valid point where she said that, you know, girls and women actually have to ask for permission.
Yeah.
Now, this is one thing I actually want to let people know, people who are out there, people who she's are labeled as privileged ones.
Yeah.
I believe that it's your responsibility to go and spread the word. You know,
Absolutely.
we're doing our bit. I think everybody needs to do their bit.
Absolutely.
See, this is the problem. You know, women asking for permission is the problem. Why do men do not have to ask for permission and women do?
That's again, I'll talk about the culture. Like I mentioned in the first thing, that this is the culture that has developed in the Pakistan and India and say other developing countries, because we need to ask for the affirmations from the male society, because we are a male dominant society. There is no doubt in that.
Yeah, of
But
course.
the girls should be allowed to an extent that they can prove their abilities. That's how we can be a developing countries.
But male dominant and male hindering the progress of the other gender is a different different story. You know, male dominant is like, you know, fathers, brothers actually trying to, you know, kind of make sure that, you know, that their sisters are safe, nobody's actually going to oogle them, and, you know, things like that. But what I'm focusing on is that we really need to educate women that if there's something which you want to do and it's right, you really do not have to ask for permission, just go for it.
Yeah, but nobody in our
That's not how it works in
yeah,
Pakistan.
that's
Yeah.
not how it works, because that's again like Mr. Imran said, that we have to develop the literacy to understand the facts, understand the boundaries that what a man has and what a woman has. The woman should not go out of the boundaries, and the man should not force her on the boundaries.
For example, I'm
So-
going to give you a situation over here, and I'm a witness to that, ladies and gentlemen. One of my friends, I'm sorry that I actually have to, I'm not going to mention his name.
Oh, do it.
But no, I'm not
Okay,
going to
sorry,
mention his
just
name.
kidding.
So, ladies and gentlemen, he, I think, passed his matriculation.
Yeah.
After that, he made a fake degree for FSC. Well, everybody knows that this is how it's done. And then he made another fake degree for BA and whatnot. And his parents got him married to a girl who's a doctor.
Oh.
Now, how hard do you think that that lady's life is going to be? First 5 years, she actually kept on studying. Medicine is very hard. And now, finally, when she's married, she actually has to stay back at the village, not even in a city where she can actually perform her duties. How do you think we can change that? There's no way we're changing it.
You're absolutely right, because you know, if somebody is not valuing what you have done in your life and what you have achieved in your life, I believe that only that person will value your efforts who has himself done that.
Exactly.
So if somebody hasn't gone through the phase of like becoming a doctor and studying hard for days and nights, nobody is going to help you with their abilities, because there is no understanding in that fact. So she's suffering because the other person hasn't gone through such things in his life.
Right, absolutely. All right, so now we're going to talk about something, of course, a lot of people might be uncomfortable with, a lot of people might really not want to hear, but this is a sad reality of our society. We come across this news, Shazad, almost on a daily basis, and I can vouch for it. This happens when we're talking about girls. They are definitely the vulnerable part of the society, or I would even call them minorities, because again, they're vulnerable. Forced sex, kidnapping, sex trafficking. Girls, of course, are the #1 victims of this, and we're not even going to the bazaars where they would be harassed. Let's not even go to, you know, any place where they might be kidnapped from, at their own places with their own blood. I mean, who can we trust?
See, Shaza, this is not about going to an extent where the girls are being prone to such
Right, Amma, you know what I mean. I know what you're going to say, or of course you have the right to say that. But I'm just saying that at this point we cannot blame girls or
Yes.
even come up or say कि तुम ढाबे पे गई थी, तुम दुकान
This
गई
is
थी. No,
yeah.
that is not the case
This
here.
is the mindset we need to change. This is the mindset we need to change. This is how we will go ahead. Like we have social figures around us who are working hard for the women in our society, but nobody lets them go in front. Nobody lets them recognize their efforts. They just try to slub their efforts for this. Even I'm an educationist. I have been to slums for the girls' education, but the parents do not allow that, because there is a mindset that, oh, our girls will go out and God forbid something bad will happen with them.
Yeah.
Because this is the mindset we need to change.
Exactly.
But
And
something bad doesn't only happen outside, Shazad. It
Outside.
really does happen, you know, at your own home, with the people
can.
that you know, with your loved ones,
Yes,
with your family
yes.
members.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not just looking at the underprivileged ones who probably live in the downtrodden segments of the society in rural areas. We're even looking at the ones like us in the
Exactly.
cities,
Yes.
but they're not allowed to, or they do not have the potential to, or the courage to speak up about it, because log kya kahenge, of
Log kya
course.
kahenge.
exactly, that's one thing. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, it has always been in news as well that, you know, an uncle has actually raped
Dads.
dads have harassed a lot of women as well, and their girl child as well. So you know, they are vulnerable,
Yeah.
and they really need to be protected. That's one part, and nobody can actually kind of have a different opinion on this.
Of course.
But now what I'm going to talk about is that, you know, since you've mentioned about, you know, how things can get worse for women out there. Now, Abid Hussain sir, what I wanted to ask was that obviously literacy is there. We'll come down to that. But this is me being very honest. Now, imagine that over here in Pakistan, men are actually supposed to have relationships, right? You know,
Yes.
everybody knows that
Of course.
men are always
Superior.
involved in extramarital relationships, and even before marriage,
Yes.
every man has got a right to have a relationship and choose a girl for himself, right?
Yes.
Why do you think that we stop women from doing the same when our sons can actually go out, and that too, obviously, they will go out with a girl, right? But then on the other hand, you know, girls actually face this problem that they really do not get to choose the kind of person she wants to spend her life with. Imagine that whenever we speak about dowry, ladies and gentlemen, we give our daughters best beds, you know, best fridge and, you know,
Right.
AC and whatnot. But we never put effort into finding the best match for her. How do we change that?
Actually, sir, there are two aspects of this issue. One is that we are not well aware about Islamic teaching. The Islam in practical, we are not apply Islam in practical life.
Okay.
We are just reading Islam. Okay, Islam is allowing both gender the equal right.
Yeah.
Okay, talabul ilmu farizatun ala kulli muslimin wa muslimatun. Okay, it appears, it denotes, it articulates that to gain knowledge is the
Yes, please go
duty
on.
of every woman and every boy. They can gain knowledge. Both sexes are allowed to know Islam. The second aspect is that our society is not allowing us. Our norms, our values, our culture, they are very rigid against the teaching of Islam. That's the reason. So neither we are reading Islam, nor we are following the Western countries.
Yeah.
We are in
Right. We're stuck
pendulum.
in between.
We
Yeah.
are just hanging between them.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
And you know, thank you very much that you said that as well, because I recently heard a bayan, ladies and gentlemen, and it was by one of the very amazing scholars as well, or Islamic religious scholar, and he
Yeah.
said that, you know, people have a very wrong conception of how things were back in the days. It wasn't that, you know, that the men didn't actually have a conversation with women. Back in those days, they said that everybody used to have conversation with women. You know, they used to work together. They were business partners and whatnot.
Right.
And if somebody liked someone, you know, they actually had a way. You know, the Islamic way of approaching them. You know, they will go ask them, go to their family, ask their family, and if they allow, you know, they will get married. So that's how it was. I think that we ourselves made the entire environment around us a little conservative.
I agree.
Because of the fact that we have objectified women sexually. And this is one
Yes.
thing which everybody needs to agree to, that, you know, once you objectify, I don't think that there's any hope left. So we, first of all, what we need to do is we need to unwind. We need to learn all of those things which our culture has taught us. But there are women, ladies and gentlemen, out there breaking a lot of stereotypes, and she's a
Before you get there, yeah.
right.
So sorry, before you get there.
Yeah.
All right, now this happens to be a woman in Islamabad
Yeah.
who is breaking stereotypes.
Exactly, and look how happy we are. You know, we're sharing her images on our television. That, you know, it's super amazing. It's super different for all of us to see that a woman is actually, you know, doing her house chores, all the house jobs on her scooty, and it's wonderful. Imagine for all of those women who actually have to wait for their husbands the entire day so that they can come back, sit in the car, and go. And the husband's not really willing all of the time because he's tired and whatnot. So imagine that this is what I call empowerment. Women doing what they want to do by themselves.
Right, absolutely. Being self-sufficient,
Yes.
Shazad. I mean, not relying on anyone else. Codependence, of course, it's a thing, but not being dependent on
Yes.
someone. You want to add something?
Yeah, and,
Okay.
and I want to add to it. I'm very sorry, but it's a public service message because I did it once and I was very sorry about it. So what happened, you know, so I was coming to my office one fine day and I saw this amazing lady was actually riding her scooty, and all of a sudden I took out my camera and started shooting. And then I realized that, you know, I haven't asked for her
Asked?
consent. And if she allows me, only then I can do that. So what I did was that, you know, in the next, the traffic light, we stopped over there, I went out of my car and I asked her that, you know, I hope that you didn't mind that I kind of took a footage of you. And she said, no, it's perfectly fine as far as you're going to use it for a very positive mean. And that's what I did, you know,
That's
to
amazing.
let people know, you know, to make people aware that everybody can do anything and stop objectifying.
Right, that's amazing, and Shazad, I'm really proud of you that you actually, you know, stopped
Thank
and
you.
spoke to her. But ladies and gentlemen, since we're talking about, you know, empowered women, empowered girls, we happen to have a poster child from Pakistan, poster child for girls' education all over the world.
Yeah.
She happens to be none other than Malala Yousafzai. I don't know. Anyway, we're really proud to, you know, say that she hails from Pakistan. So we do have a trailer. It's called He Named Me Malala.
Yes.
Let's take a look at it, and then we head out to a short break.
Yes.
Welcome back to World This Morning with Shahzad Khan and Shazza Hashmi, ladies and gentlemen, where today we are so proud to be observing the International Day for Girl Child. And before we went out on a very short break, Shahzad, here's to make you happy. We played a trailer of, He Named Me Malala, where we spoke about this amazing poster child for girl education, as we already mentioned, Malala Yousafzai.
Exactly. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the show is actually going to take a very unique turn. And first things first, that I'll actually like to thank my entire team, because it's for the very first time that we're actually observing International Day for Girl Child. So, more power to us, more power to PT World, to our bosses and everybody out there. But what I'm going to say now is actually going to shock you.
Okay.
So, as Muslims, we are taught that, whenever you see anybody out there, you are actually supposed to greet them or say your salam, assalamu alaikum. So, ever since childhood, I've developed this habit of saying it in the first place, because you get a lot of blessings from Allah Almighty.
Exactly.
Because other than that, I don't think that there's anything worthwhile I'm doing that Allah is actually going to forgive me on the Day of Judgment. But this is one thing I always make sure. So, irrespective of the fact whether it's a man or a woman, I say my salam. Men usually, they will reply back, wa alaikum assalam, kya haal hai beta, are you fine? But out of 100 women, I'll say my salam to, only 2 will respond, and that too, that you can barely listen to them. I don't know what's wrong. I think probably it's the culture that people are not very used to of it, that men talking openly with women. But I think that if we are actually going to talk openly, things will be resolved. And I think that this is the kind of liberation we need in our society.
All right. So I have a counter argument, a very similar one though.
Yeah.
So I have the very same habit of greeting and saying salam to people around me. And since we've been doing this for so long, I feel like we've grown up upon each other's habit as well. So I have this thing, of course, I'd say assalamu alaikum to aunties, uncles, anyone that I come across. But the opposite thing happens with me. Of course, aunties say assalamu alaikum or wa alaikum salam back. But the men that I speak to or say assalamu alaikum, they get this wrong idea of probably me
being interested into them.
Yeah, I mean, approaching them about something.
Or can women get the same idea from me too as well?
I guess so. So it's a really fine line.
So this is one thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is we pinpointing that this is the problem. This is the very start at the very beginning of the problem. So imagine if you cannot even say hi or hello to a person you're going to see. Imagine, can you even talk on another level?
Can it not be platonic or just a generous assalamu alaikum?
Yeah, and it's an iota of a conversation, assalamu alaikum, so the rest of the things can be sorted afterwards. But this is one thing which we need to change, and everybody needs to have a positive mindset, not everybody's chasing you. And then there's one more thing. So this is one thing which me and Shiza discussed before the show. So she said that, just when we said, even we have mentioned it in the show as well, that women are actually objectified sexually as well.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no doubt that this is very true as well. Whenever men are actually going to look at women, if they're out, they're driving, the anti-oogling campaigns, they're going on. This is true. But on the contrary, I think that the same happens to men as well. But women have this amazing talent of, not even looking at men, but still looking at them,
Which is
so they will actually look straight, but they actually can actually move their eyes and whatnot. And, but it happens to everybody, right?
All right. This was just I can't relate because, of course, I'm not a man and I haven't seen women looking at me that way. But if you felt that, well, it happens probably out there. But ladies and gentlemen, sticking to what we are talking about today, it's International Day for Girl Child. Amna,
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, we're going to move on to Amna, but we've got something very important to share with her. Ladies and gentlemen, so we are talking about a day for which is for Girl Child. So I think that it is very imperative, it is very important that we actually share with you some success stories.
Oh, of course.
Women who are actually leading from the front, women who have actually brought a lot of change within our own societies, a positive change. And we're actually going to share 5 most amazing women in Pakistan, who actually represent Pakistan on every front. Go ahead, take a listen.
Be inspired.
Yes.
History proves it's not easy being a woman, handed down to play multiple roles in their lives, but their role is central in running affairs of a family in our society. Ours is a society where male members are dominating most of the professions that are supposedly harsh in terms of public dealing. These professions include vending on streets and driving public transport. Take a look at these women who defied all odds to protect their respective families and decided to take on with the harsh times. Yasmin is the first female fruit seller of Islamabad. She is a single parent and the only breadwinner of 4 children. Setbacks in life forced her to make a living off a fruit cart, which is her sole source of income. She faces challenges but pays no heed. It's not easy, but for her, giving up is not an option when there are innocent mouths to feed. The trend of women as truck drivers has started gaining popularity among women of Pakistan to earn a handsome livelihood for themselves with a new identity. Shameem Akhtar from Rawalpindi is Pakistan's first female truck driver. Like many cases, hardships followed her way and she chose to drive vehicles to support her family. The 60-ton yellow trucks are a familiar sight around Pakistan's largest open pit mine in the Thar Desert, usually driven by men. Now the region's women are eyeing a road out of poverty by snapping up truck driving jobs. It is not a matter of having pity on female bread earners, but it is a case of hailing their maturity. These working women demand nothing but equality and respect, which the society is supposed to give them. Dozens of women have started the profession of bus driving, truck driving and rickshaw driving in a male-dominated society, which is very daring and courageous. Take a look at the female heroes of our country. We are indebted to Ms. Fatima Jinnah, Benazir Bhutto for leading the political struggle. We are equally thankful to the daughters like Arfa Kareem Randhawa, Maryam Mukhtar and many others for making their marks on our history.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to be Pakistani, and it's because of the fact that I think that we've kind of progressed in each and every way from a lot of other countries, and even if we have a fair comparison with our neighbors, I think that we're way ahead. Even when we talk about military, even when we talk about engineers, even when we talk about doctors, when we talk about anchors, when we talk about women over here in Pakistan are actually hand in hand with men of Pakistan as well, and there's no doubt there are issues, and we are actually putting our heads towards that as well, but I think that we are on the right track.
Yeah,
I'm very happy about it.
Right, absolutely. And since we're only left, 10 to 12 minutes, I really want to spend this time. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really want to spend this time talking about the solutions that we can pose to all the issues that we discussed today. Amma, let's start with you. These can be as basic, as general as you want.
Yeah. First right is their right to education. They must be given a right to education. They must be given to part in the social empowerment. They must given empowerment to do something. Just like they are used as objected matter, the female, their role should be de facto of that. They should be like figures of fame. They should be taken as a social figures. They can be followed. They can be idealized just like man. So this is how we are going to change it.
All right,
Exactly.
education.
Oh, that's good. Amitabh, what about you?
Awareness at homes, at educational institutions, information literacies. These are few solutions to we can bring awareness among international. Yes, as we observe International Girl Day every 11th October.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So the purpose of this day is to pay full tribute to all girls, especially adolescents.
Exactly.
So we can give them better education. We can give them better respects in terms of Islamic laws, in terms of our society, in terms of our obligations at institutional level. So we can bring changes, and we can aware the people through your media, electronic media, as well as social media. These are various platforms we can bring changes.
Exactly.
And international girls, as we tribute to them all over the world. So this is our moral duty, our respect, to give them respect.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for saying that. Thank you very much for being with us. It was wonderful to have you over here and to speak about a day which is actually dedicated to girl child, ladies and gentlemen. We have talked quite a lot about different issues, but I think that at the same time, there's one more thing which I want to say, and that is for all those women who are married and are working at the same time, that initially when you start working, when you start getting paid, there's only one problem.
Yeah.
And that problem is not with the man, that problem is with the family, I believe, and that is that, they kind of start irritating your husband, they kind of start bugging your husband, saying, oh, you don't do anything, your wife does everything and whatnot. So at that point of time, if a lady actually kind of, gives her husband the kind of respect he actually deserves when or while he was earning, I think that your house is going to be a heaven on earth as well.
Right, absolutely. And Shazad, towards the end, since we are talking about, Girl Child Day, there is a place on this planet, very close to Pakistan, where the girl child, 100% of the girl child over there are not safe. not at their homes, Shazad, not in the streets. Some we don't even know where they are, and it's been the 68th consecutive day that them, along with their families, of course, have been in a lockdown, have been observing a curfew with no internet or mobile communication services, no transport on the roads, no education or business establishments open, nothing to, share with your families as well. And I'll just give you a very small example. One of our very respected makeup artists works downstairs, and her sister, her immediate sister lives in occupied Kashmir actually, and she hasn't been able to speak to her for more than 68 days now. Imagine the type of things that might go through one's head. I mean, what happened to her? Is she alive? Is she safe at home? Is she with someone? Has she been kidnapped? Has she been violated? God forbid this happens to anyone out there. But ladies and gentlemen, as Pakistanis, on Friday again, today we are standing in solidarity with the Kashmiris at 12 p.m.
Exactly. And ladies and gentlemen, adding on to what Shiza said, imagine that, even I have a very horrific story to share. One of my friends, he lives in England, but he's actually he belongs to Indian occupied Kashmir.
Okay.
And I was in conversation with him, and I was asking him how are things back home. So, what he said was very heartbreaking for me. He said that, I got lucky that I actually got to call my father, had a conversation with him, and my father said that for the next 5 years, I've deposited an amount of money in your account, and I will actually recommend you not to come back to your home. Imagine how difficult it will be for that father to not see his or her kids for 5 years or 10 years. And there have been massive, there have been mass murders in Kashmir, there have been mass rapes in Kashmir, ladies and gentlemen. All of those women who are out there, there are daughters, there are sisters, there are mothers as well. And I think that everybody out there is going to stand in solidarity with Kashmir. I've fallen in love with our Premier, Mr. Imran Khan, because of the kind of vision
advocacy
he has. The kind of vision he has, and the kind of advocacy he's done on multiple facets and multiple platforms globally. And I think that it's about time, and we've been doing it. Pakistan will keep on doing that no matter what happens, because Kashmir banega Pakistan.
Or Banega Khud Mukhtar, any
Yes.
of the two options. But ladies and gentlemen, if there's anything you learned from us, please write on our Facebook page with the name of
World This Morning.
on Twitter,
World This Morning without a G.
Daily Motion or YouTube.
World This Morning.
And the repeat you can catch
5
at
past 11 p.m. tonight. Till the next time, 1, 2, 3.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Thank you very much.